right, gain some life. Beautiful. We will investigate by making clue token. Okay. Nice, denied. Okay, and here we go, everybody. So this is also what we came here for. Knight Errant of Eos. Okay, and there we go. Cosmograph Zenith and another Knight Errant of Eos. I think we'll have to lay down arms for one. Lay down arms number two. We'll put counters on stuff. We want to start getting aggro here. Oh, there. There we go, everybody. Hello, my fiery friends, the Infernoman here with the hottest in budget deck technology. And for today's deck tech, first off I want to ask you all a question. Is it possible to go big with +1/+1 counters and go wide with a bunch of tokens in the same life gain enabled deck, all on a budget of only 12 rares?
Say what?
Well, you're about to find out. So join me today in the Pioneer format for a deck that I am simply calling Cosmo Convoke. Longtime viewers of the channel know how we do it. We have to talk about the stats of the deck before we dive right in. So our Cosmo Convoke deck is a Mono White Lifegain deck. We're utilizing an average mana curve of about 2.0, and we'll be rocking a total of 28 creatures in the deck, 4 instants, 4 sorceries, 4 artifacts, and 20 lands. Cosmo Convoke, as I mentioned earlier, is focusing primarily on just trying to go super wide and super big all in the same deck. We want to also try to draw some cards utilizing life gain, and also that life gain will help us stabilize our game plan. In order to do that, let's actually highlight the first 3 important cards to our whole game plan and the very reason we're even doing this deck. We're going to be utilizing Cosmograph Zenith here, Halia, Guided by Light, and Knight of Errant of Eos. Starting at the top here, Cosmograph Zenith here, as you can read, is a card that says it's a 3 mana, 2/4 human soldier, that whenever you cast your second spell each turn, you choose one of these abilities. You can either create 2 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens, or put a +1/+1 counter on each creature we control. That alone is insanely powerful once you can start chaining together at least 2 spells each turn. What an incredibly powerful card and the backbone of the whole deck itself. In order to make sure we can take advantage of either of her abilities, we're going to be utilizing Halia, Guided by Light. So, as this card reads, Halia, Guided by Light is a legendary human soldier that's a 3 mana and it's a 3/3 that also says whenever she or another creature or artifact or controls enters, you will gain 1 life. And at the beginning of your end step, you get to draw a card if you gain 3 or more life this turn. On top of that, Halia is also able to be cast for her warp cost of only 1 white mana. As a reminder, warp says that you can cast this card from your hand for the cost. However, you have to exile it at the beginning of your next step, but you can cast it at an exile at a later turn. So in other words, we want to try to get her in for the cheap cost of only 1, trigger off at least a couple of times to draw a couple cards and gain some life in the early part of the game. But even if you can't do that, Halia is super solid for our deck as a nice way to slowly build a bunch of life and slowly draw us a bunch of extra cards. However, if we want to also get more out of this, once we start getting either of these game plans going on, we can refuel ourselves with Knight Errant of Eos. I've played this card in a previous deck a couple of years ago, but it's an amazing card and it works very well with our game plan. So let's talk about this card one more time. Knight Errant of Eos is a 5 mana 4/4 human knight that also has Convoke. And it reads, when this creature enters, look at the top 6 cards of your library, and you may reveal up to 2 creature cards with a mana value of X or less from among them, where X is the number of creatures that convoked this creature. You put the revealed cards into your hand and then shuffle your library. So, in order to avoid being too confused on this, if we can tap down a bunch of our extra creatures, maybe our extra tokens with our Cosmograph Zenith here and whatnot, we can gain a bunch of extra life with Halia here. We can then also dig through our deck and then pull out a couple of extra cards to keep our game plan going. So those are the 3 cards that are going to be the backbone to this deck. As far as the rest of our cards in the deck, we want to provide support for those 3 main cards that help us function and make the deck what it is. So, in order to do that, we want to back them up with extra life gain, card draw, and going wide. We'll have Hinterland Sanctifier in the 1-drop slot here. Anytime another creature enters, we can gain 1 life. This will go perfectly well with Halia here, because once we get that magic number of 3, we can draw more cards. Leonin Vanguard also supports this game plan here, because at the beginning of combat, as long as we control 3 or more creatures, it'll get a +1/+1 pump and also help us gain an extra life. The Raven Inspector here, when it enters, you can investigate. In other words, you get to create a clue token. This also does trigger off with Halia with that extra token, and also it just helps us again draw some cards when we have the extra mana open in case we just need to refuel our hand. In order to help us with the Go White strategy of Cosmograd Zenith here, and also pumping up all of our creatures, we'll use Raise the Alarm and Resolute Reinforcements here, so this will create for us 2 1/1 soldier creature tokens across 2 different sets of cards. But that's not all in terms of support. We also are going to utilize here Nutrient Block in the 1-drop slot. This is an artifact food and it's also indestructible. However, once you sacrifice this food, you can gain 3 life. Again, that's the magic number to help us draw extra cards with Halia. Or you can simply just sacrifice it itself to also draw a card on top of it. It's an excellent card for the deck. And then finally, Lay Down Arms is going to be our only spot removal in the deck. It is going to be a small one, but it actually can scale up pretty well. You can exile a target creature with a mana value less than or equal to the number of planes you control, and its controller will also gain 3 life. One sneaky tactic you can use with this is also you can exile, say, one of your extra tokens here to also gain that 3 life, which again is the magic number to help us draw another card using Halia. As far as your mana base is concerned, we are a budget deck, so we're going to keep it as simple as possible. We're only going to utilize 16 planes and an entire set of Sheffet Dunes. We honestly want to use this for its final ability on here, where you can pay 4 mana and also tap the Sheffet Dunes and sacrifice the desert. By doing so, creatures we control will get an extra +1/+1 pump until end of turn. Keep in mind, however, you can only activate this at sorcery speed. If you're a person that likes to play a little bit of best of 3, here's what I'd recommend for you for your sideboard for this deck. We'll have a couple copies of Brave the Elements here. You choose any color you want against enemy players out there, and then that means all of your white creatures you'll control will gain protection from the chosen color until end of turn. Excellent way to help us against decks that are also trying to go wide, but we can force through the damage against their blockers. Deafening Silence here shuts down control decks and shuts down combo decks out there, forcing them to only play 1 non-creature spell each turn. Instead of trying to maybe go with aggro with Brave the Elements, you can also be defensive and use Make a Stand here. A little expensive at 3 mana, but gives all of your creatures an extra +1/+1/0 pump and indestructible until end of turn. Sheltered by Ghost will be another alternate way we can use spot removal for the deck. It will then allow us to then exile a non-land permanent until Sheltered by Ghost leaves the battlefield. Gives the enchanted creature an extra +1/+0 pump and lifelink and ward 2. And then finally for Graveyard Heat here, another great card for us, Dauntless Scrapbot here. 3 mana for a 3/1 robot. When it enters, you can exile each opponent's graveyard and you can create a Lander token. The Lander token again will trigger off with Halia, but realistically that Lander token is perfect to help us again do a little bit extra ramping in case we do end up struggling just a bit. Alright, so now that you have a better idea of what Cosmo Convoke is all about, let's get to the most exciting part, of course, of this video. Let's go ahead, let's play this in the Pioneer format, let's play a couple of ranked matches, and let's see how well the deck can do. But before we continue, if you do like any of the content that I do, please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you watch the content. You can support me monthly for a small amount on Patreon, where I have all of my extended bonus footage posted. We also have a Redbubble spot where you can buy merch like stickers and shirts, or for free, all you can just do also is just join our growing community on Discord. Your support helps keep this channel going. All links are in the details below. Alright, my fire friends, here we go. Can we go big and wide using cards like Cosmograd Zenith, Halia Guided by Light, and Knight of Aaron of Eos, which coincidentally, we do have here in the opening hand. So this is actually, oh man, I think this is basically the dream hand here. Alright, let's keep this. This is perfect. Alright, we'll play our planes, and we will pass here. Don't want to play anything on turn 1, you want to go right into Halia here on turn 2. So with that, planes number 2. Halia, we're going to warp her in. Right, she gains life on her own, but we will also play a Thraben Inspector, which is perfect here, because we can then gain life off of him and the token, which triggers her off exactly to draw a card. Beautiful. Okay, so that does set up now for turn 3, which we can have Cosmograd Zenith do its thing. Opponent is playing something here. We'll see. We'll see if that's going to be something to worry about. For now, Cosmograd Zenith comes in. Swing here. Down to 19. We got the first hit in. Okay. So again, not sure what our opponent's playing though. Oh, Wander. Oh! Well, this is going to be an interesting one. I haven't seen anybody play this in 60 card here. So, alright, opponent. Game on. Game on.
Bring it on.
Okay, so in the meantime here, let us play... I think we'll play the Hinterland Sanctifier first. We'll play... And we'll hurt ourselves with this one. So we'll pay the 1 life. The Raven Inspector. We will start going wide.
This is where the fun begins.
Alright, gain some life. Beautiful. We will investigate by making Clue Token. Okay, so here's the moment of truth. Does our opponent have protection or counter spells? Can we remove the Wandering Minstrel and keep things off the board? Nice, denied. Okay, and here we go, everybody. So this is also what we came here for. Knight Errant of Eos. Refueling. This is the dream right here. This is actually what you want the deck to do. Okay, and there we go. Cosmograph Zenith and another Knight Errant of Eos. Oh, man. All right, opponents. We can get a small hit in here, so they go back down to 20, but that's okay. We have a huge board now. Does our opponent have an answer for the Aftermath Analyst? Okay. That's cute. Oh, okay, so they are a lands deck. Okay, so that means we gotta hit them hard here quick. Okay, so they do tap out. That's actually good for us. That's what we wanted. All right, so we do have 2 lay down arms. I think we'll have to lay down arms for 1. That does mean they gain life there. Lay down arms number 2. We'll put counters on stuff. We want to start getting aggro here.
A few moments later.
Oh, there we go, everybody. Our opponent did not want to deal with us anymore. Oh, opponent. I wanted to go off there, but it's okay, everybody. I mean, you got to see right there, just before we started doing our swings, our opponent was seeing that, oh man, we were about to go big there and wide, and there was nothing they were going to be able to do to stop us. All right, my fire friends, here we go. Can we go wide and big with our Cosmo Convoke deck? Well, we don't exactly have any of our payoffs in hand, but we do have a little bit of ways to draw into more action. I think we could still keep this, and we could just hopefully build up a little bit of life gain. We shall see. Let's get that Hinterland Sanctifier out. Right, opponents, what do you got? Show me what you got.
A few moments later.
Annoying as always the turn 1 play, but it is what it is. Yep, raise the alarm. No surprise there. Nice. Okay, we did manage to get the Knight Errant of Eos there, so that's actually pretty solid for us. Put a Raven Inspector. Get some life back. Ping ourselves down for a moment there, but we still gain life and some more life. We swing here. All right, so we have a little bit of a go white strategy going. Nick those. Oh, okay, so they're mono black devotion. All right, that gives us a little bit of an idea of what's going on. Ooh, okay, well, now we got Halia here, so this is what we came here for. So, Halia, we're going to warp her in because we need to get the most value out of her. Gain that life. We'll play the Nutrient block. Gain some more life there. Pump. We will swing with everything. Hopefully we can get a little value here. Down to 14. We'll draw a card. Okay, managed to get the land. That's good. And Halia will go bye-bye for now. Unstoppable Slasher. A little bit of a scary threat there, but it's not the worst. Okay, got another Plains. That's good. We will play Halia now. Get that life. Get some more life. All right, automatically up to 3. No attacks yet, but we can still now draw cards, which is great. So we now have an engine going here. Okay, opponent is going to swing. That's fine for now. We'll sacrifice to the Slasher Raven Inspector. Not surprised that the Knight will get pumped, but we have tons of life, so not a big deal for us. Ooh, lay down arms. This is actually perfect for us. Lay down arms on... Ooh, we can't get it on there, but we can at least get it on the Knight. That's fine. So the Knight threat is down. We'll put out the Plains. Hinterland Sanctifier. Gain that life. That's 2 there. Gain that life there. Swing here. Down to 11. And we'll draw a card off of that. Ooh, another Halia. That's good. I just realized, and someone probably pointed this out to me, I should have played the Plains first, and that actually would have meant that Unstoppable Slasher would have been off the field. Once again, hopefully my misplay does not ruin this match. Hopefully we can still win. That won't hurt us, right? So I'm going to go swinging here. We will not block. We'll lose a ton of life here, which is going to hurt, but it's a small price to pay, all things considered. We can still gain life off of this and still draw a card. So it's still up to 15. Resolute Reinforcements now. Get a ton of life back. Lots of life. Back up to 21. Life gain decks, everybody. I guess we might as well. So, since we're not going to be swinging, let's get the max value. Again, lots of life. Okay, so what do we get here? Oh, there we go. That's what we wanted. Cosmograd Zenith. And I guess we'll get Resolute Reinforcements. Get the life there. No attack still. We'll wait it out. Draw another card. Oh, man. I honestly feel like I kind of messed up a little bit by not using Lay Down Arms immediately after putting the planes down. But hopefully, despite these Death Touch and Life Linkers, we can still push through damage no matter what. We just need to start going super big with Cosmograd Zenith, and we should be okay. I'm just going to swing. This is fine. Let's see here. How do we do this? I guess we're Resolute Reinforcements now. Get some more life. Get a lot of life. All the life gain. We'll still block here. Okay, Slasher is now hanging out. Cosmograd Zenith. Lots of life gain. And I think we'll raise the alarms now. We'll start putting counters on stuff. There we go. Now we are the threat. All the life gain in the world. Ah, I love this. However, it's still going to be tricky because we're still waiting for 1 or 2 key pieces to push out of the way. All we just need to do is maybe get 1 or 2 more turns of pump here, and we should be able to just close out the game with one massive swing.
A few moments later.
Unless if they have the Meat Hook Massacre. Okay, -3. Well, that kills their board too. So, although that was devastating, it's still fine. Even with all that life gain, we can still survive just the same. Warlock class. Okay. Well, we're still at 36 life, so we're fine. It actually helped us out a little bit more than our opponent might have thought there. So, with that, play the Nutrient block. Okay, gain some life there. Hinterland Sanctifier. This time we'll put some tokens out there. Gain some life back. Okay, and with that, we'll do big swings here. Down to 6 opponents. You have 1 shot here to actually pull this off. Habra Mauling. Okay, well, that is painful. That's actually not the worst for us. Because it doesn't matter what our opponent does, we still get the victory against them. Opponents, that Meat Hook Massacre was a little scary, but we were able to endure and still beat our opponent there. Oh, man. Okay, my fire friends, here we go. Can we convoke out a ton of stuff to go wide and go big? Well, we do have the Cosmograd Zenith in hand, and we have Halia, Guided by Light, also in hand. This actually might work out for us. Hopefully, we can get at least a couple more low-to-the-ground creatures. We should be able to go wide enough with this. Alright, so with that, let's play the planes. We will actually wait for a second here. We won't cast anything just yet. We should be able to at least get a little bit of card draw here. Oh, beautiful. Raven Inspector. Okay, so here's how we do this. So, let's go ahead. Let's warp out our first Halia. Alright, gain some life off of that. And for this one, Raven Inspector, what's nice again is she does go off based upon artifacts and creatures. That's 3 exactly. Beautiful. And we get another card. Alright, and we also got our land. That's perfect. Alright, Mountain. Artist Talent. Okay, so it looks like our opponent's going to try to do some Phoenix shenanigans here, but let's see if we can get around that. Some way, somehow, we will try. Let's see. Let's play Halia again. Number 2. We can then go wide with this. Make some more tokens. Gain some more life. Nothing else that provides us a little bit of a sponge. Down to 19. Halia triggers again. Nutrient block. That might be helpful for a little bit later on, if we end up stumbling just a smidge. Spiral of Canal. Alright, here comes Vivi. Ugh.
I'm in danger.
We're going to try to see if we can get around her as best as we can. Okay, Zenith coming in now. We will attack. Vivi can't block. Well, actually, she can block. Vivi, wait, Vivi a guy or a girl? I think it's a guy. I don't know what I'm talking about. Any case, the point is we were able to just get in our swing. Since we don't have any removal in hand, we're going to hope that Vivi cannot go off here and now, but that is a pipe dream. Okay, Phoenix number 1. Sleight of hand getting us the card they want. Props Edict Memory. Throwing in another land. We'll draw a card. Yep. Vivi shenanigans. Pumps up VV. Now they have a ton on them, but they are swinging, so that's fine. This is actually pretty good right now for us. Okay. Is that it, opponents? Okay. I obviously knew there was still has to be more. Anything else, opponents? 5 mana open. Lightning Axe. Of course, that goes away. Our Cosmograd Zenith. I knew we weren't going to be able to get away scot-free on that one. Dang. Well, I guess that was hopeful thinking from our end there. Opt. Still going off. Down to 17. Still bouncing around stuff. Anything else, opponents? Treasure Cruise. Yep. The deck never stops going off. Down to 16. Throw away a card. We draw 3 cards here. Still have 2 mana open. Are we done? Another land. Block a Prankster. Yep. Still keeps going off. At this point, I might as well just use the restroom since it's just going to take forever here. Still more milling. We'll bring back another Opt. Alright, that should be it. They hit us all the way down to 14. And now their VV is huge. If we can at least exile it, maybe we have a shot here. Maybe. Okay, Raise the Alarm does not do it. Okay. Is there a way out of this? Or are we completely dead now? Alright. I guess we'll find out right now. Halia coming back in. We can Nutrient Block. Gain some more life. Thraben Inspector. Gain more life. Okay. No real attacks there because we can't really do much, but we will still Convoke just the same. Okay. More life. Come on, deck. Okay, so we'll get another Cosmograd, and I guess we'll get a Resolute Reinforcements. More life gained. Another card draw. We warp that out. Alright, that's literally the best we could do. If they have Trample on VV, we are dead.
A few moments later.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say at this point, everybody. At this point, with VV just going off her, I literally probably could just speed up this footage right now and just kind of get us through this solitaire game.
This stinks.
Blocking. There's no point. We're beyond dead. Ouch. Alright, well, that's VV for you, everybody. Again, best deck in the formats. We'd love to see it. And there you have it, everybody. So that was Cosmo Convoke for you for the Pioneer format. And let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Would you play this deck in any way, shape, or form? To be perfectly honest with you, I actually really like what this deck is trying to do. And it honestly solves a major issue that I've had before with White Lifegain decks. Usually you either have to go super big with cards, but they end up getting chump blocked for days or get blown up very easily. Or sometimes you also had issues where you try to go wide, but because you couldn't really close out the game because a lot of your cards were weak, you just failed to then get your victory. Thankfully, this deck solves both problems because Cosmograd Zenith is an amazing card, and realistically, if you can get copies of this, I highly recommend it even in paper. I absolutely love what this card does. It does so much for just such a small investment. Now, if you made it this far into the video, give me a shout out below because you are my true fire friends. And of course, let's go ahead and show you what you can do if you want to invest a little bit more to make it even stronger than it currently is. So if you're looking to upgrade the deck, here's what I would recommend for you to get more value out of it. So we'll do a couple of quick modifications here. We're actually going to go all in on the inspectors. So we'll actually throw in not just Thraben Inspector, but Novice Inspector instead. This means we'll get rid of our nutrient block, but this provides for us an extra token that we can use with the clue tokens that both of them can provide for us. This also means that we're also going to modify our spot removal. So we'll use an entire set of Get Lost here. So this can destroy creatures, enchantments, or planeswalkers. Granted, that means that your opponent will get 2 map tokens, but that's a small price to pay to get rid of some stuff that may be pesky for us to deal with. In order for us to get still more value by going wide and going big, we want to maintain that theme, so we're going to utilize here Voice of Victory. This has the mobilize ability, meaning that every time it attacks, we can create 2 warrior creature tokens. Those actually will trigger off with Halia here perfectly, and ensures that also our opponent cannot cast spells during our turn. And ensuring that we can still go big, we'll also utilize here Voice of the Blessed. This is a spirit cleric that anytime we gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on the creature. If we get 4 more counters on it, it'll have flying and vigilance, so this gives us a great evasive threat in the air. And if by some miracle we can get this to 10 or more counters, it'll have indestructible, which means that guaranteed this alone can close out games while we try to get the rest of our game plan going. For the upgrades for the land base here, we're going to chop down some of our planes to make room for a couple other key rares. We'll utilize Castle Ardenvale here. If our plan kind of starts sputtering out, we can use this, of course, to make some extra human tokens to help just make sure we can still go wide. We'll have a little bit of extra spot removal with Gonjo here, Seat of the Empires. You can discard this using its channel ability to deal 4 damage to a target attacking or blocking creature. It will also cost 1 less for each legendary creature we control, which works very well with Halia herself. We'll then trim down some of our Shepherd Dunes to only 2 because we realistically don't need them as badly, but it doesn't hurt to have a couple in the deck. And to round out our package, since we do have a lot of tokens that sometimes do get sacrificed on their own, such as Voice of Victory, we'll take advantage of Fountain Port here. So this can be great for us to help just take advantage of some of those extra tokens, helping us draw some extra cards. Maybe we can make some tokens, or maybe we can just build up some treasures in case of, again, the game goes long. And finally, we'll have some main deck graveyard hate with Scavenger Grounds here. You can utilize this to sacrifice the desert to exile all graveyards. Keep in mind you can also sacrifice the deserts to the Shepherd Dunes, or vice versa by sacrificing for Shepherd Dunes a Scavenger Grounds. And in terms of upgrading your sideboard here, most of it doesn't really change. We're definitely going to keep the Shelter by Ghost. We'll keep the Deafening Silence. We're going to add in Authority of the Consuls here. So this will help us with life gain as well, making our opponent's creatures they enter tapped. So good for us to make sure we can bide our time while we build up our game plan here. We're going to throw in a better, stronger protection spell for our entire team here. A couple copies of Dawn's Truce. This will allow us to give all of our permanents we control hexproof until end of turn. However, if we gift a card to an opponent, we can give all of our permanents indestructible on top of that. We'll keep our Dauntless Scrapbot as our choice of graveyard hate in the same, but if you want to use something like Tormod's Crypt or Soul Guy Lantern, that is totally up to you as well. And with that all out of the way, here are my final thoughts that I want to leave you for this deck. When it comes to playing Mono White Lifegain, we played a handful of them over the course of this channel for many years, but thanks to Edge of Eternities, Halia, Guided by Light, and Cosmograph Zenith alone have literally warped, no pun intended, have made me reevaluate this archetype in a much more positive way, and I actually had a lot of fun with this deck today, and I'm sure many of you out there, if you want to give it a try, will definitely agree with me. To put this another way, if you're a fan of going wide and going big, if you're a fan of life gain strategies, and if you're a fan of a deck that can cheat out bigger creatures utilizing Warp and Convoke, then I would definitely say, give this deck a try, and I assure you, once you manage to go off with a giant army of tokens thanks to Cosmograph Zenith, and also gain a ton of life in return with Halia, you're going to have a lot of fun doing so, and you'll be very surprised at how you can pull it off on today's budget. And when you manage to blow up your opponent with an army in a can out of nowhere, I assure you, you will definitely not be disappointed. That's all I have for you today. Thanks again for watching, everyone. And just remember that no matter what you do play in the game of life, always be sure to burn bright. Later.